Hey YouTube, welcome back to another random deck profile. Today we're going to be looking at a musket list that I've been taking just to some casual games, not even locals. First locals back is Sunday, as of recording this video, so that'll be interesting. But I decided to mess around with musket again. I've been playing this deck since it came out on and off. Really love it, really love the way that it works. And this is basically just the latest build that I've been working with. It's been working really well. It's really fun. Really budget now that the expensive cards like Caspar and Starfire have had reprints. So it should be pretty easy for people to build and have a go with. And I just really think people will enjoy it. So yeah, let's crack on with the profile. Okay, so the first monster is of course your 3 copies of Caspar, and you want to pair him up with 3 copies of Starfire. So these are your main musket monsters. These are the ones that you want to see as often as possible, just because they're the ones that are basically they're your resource engine. So every single magical musket card allows you to activate the effect of magical musket spells and traps, and you can activate them from your hand. So you don't have to set your traps, you don't have to wait a turn, you can just drop them straight away. Really useful. And then when a card is activated in their column, when a spell or trap is activated in their column, it can be your opponent activating one as well. So do make sure that your opponent isn't just shifting columns about, because with a deck like this, it really does matter. So make sure that they're paying attention there. Caspar searches any magical musket card from your deck to your hand, and Starfire summons any magical musket monster from your deck to your side of the field in defense. So they're a really useful resource engine. Starfire is your OTK enabler as well, actually. So yeah, really useful there. Then we are also playing, it's kind of a resource gainer, but we're playing 3 copies of Kidbrave. It's the most attack musket that you play at 16, and then you can discard a musket card when a spell trap's activated in its column, discard a musket card to draw 2 cards. So he's really good as well. Then we're playing, in case we're forced to go beyond sort of turn 2, if we're forced to go first and the game tends to grind out a bit, we're playing 2 copies of Magical Musketeer Doc. He adds a musket card back from your graveyard. And 1 copy of Magical Musketeer Calamity. And Calamity specials a musket from your graveyard. So if you normal summon Starfire, special out Calamity, then you can link the Starfire into a max, and then activate Cross Domination, which you search with the max effect in Calamity's column, negate an opponent's monster, make its attack defense 0, bring back the Starfire, overlay them into Utopia Double, and swing for game. And then we're playing 2 copies of Tour Guide. A lot of the monsters in your deck are level 3 fiends, so you can normal summon Tour Guide, and she basically just gets you access to max. If she gets ashed, that does tend to suck a bit because you've wasted your normal summon, you don't control a musket. She's kind of just there as your plan B, your last reserve. If you've opened no muskets, but you've opened Tour Guide, you can normal summon the Tour Guide, and then try and get access to a musket from the deck. You can play Called by the Grave in this deck, but I tend to lean towards going second. I only play 2 specifically going first cards, and even then one of them can be played going second. So yeah, I like to go second with this deck. You can easily just throw Called by in to go first instead. We're playing 3 Parallel Exceed because your main playmaker is a Link 1. So normal summon a musket, make max, trigger max effect to go like +4, chain Parallel Exceed, they can't ash your max, and you've got a free rank 4 if the Exceed resolves. Really nice. And that's it for monsters. You can easily run hand traps if you want to go hard second, you can easily run Call by if you want to go hard first. But spell and trap wise, 3 copies of Cross Domination. This card is essentially imperm, but it also makes your opponent's attack defense 0. You just target face-up monster on the field until the end of the turn, change its attack defense to 0. Also, its effects are negated. So that's really nice. All the musket spells and traps, all the musket cards are hard once per turns. But Cross Domination is definitely one that you're going to be searching a lot, just because of how much impact it has on the field. And that's the only musket spell that we play. We don't play Fiendish Steel. not Fiendish Deal, sorry, Steady Hands, just because we don't need that attack power. We play enough sort of beaters as is. This is one of the two going first cards that I like to play, which is Ties of the Brethren. Not actually once per turn, it's just that it stops you summoning other monsters for the rest of the turn. So if this gets ashed, you can then activate another copy of it. So Ties of the Brethren, you target a monster you control, summon 2 monsters from your deck with the same type, level, and attribute. So you get, say you've normal summoned a level 3 musket, you then get the other 2, so you get Kid Brave, Doc, and Caspar on your side of the field, which sets up a really, really nice little resource engine for you to abuse. So Ties is really, really good going first. You set up 3 muskets, you get some spells and traps in your hand, and you basically just simplify the game state for your opponent as they try and combo off. Draw Power Engine, 3 copies of Desires, it says draw 2. 1 copy of Triple Tactics Talent. I've got a second one coming in the post. This is why there's currently not an Info Noble deck list up yet on my channel, because I am waiting for my second one of this to arrive. And as placeholder until the second Talents arrives, got the 1 Upstart. You can play the Upstart anyway as well if you decide to find something else you'd rather cut. But Talent is definitely absolutely insane in this deck. Activate it in the column of a musket, draw 2, and then resolve the musket effect, or steal a card they control and resolve the musket effect. Shuffle a card from their hand back into the deck, resolve musket effect. You know, it's really, really good. If your Max or your Caspar or your Starfire gets ashed, you activate this, and you're good to go. You can either start comboing off and link climbing, or you can draw 2 cards and try and get access to spells and traps. Then we've playing the 1 Reborn, and for our Utopia double package, the Double or Nothing. Reborn's just good because, say you manage to only summon out 1 level 4, and you've had to use the Starfire, you've got no spells and traps in hand, except the Reborn, you can get like a Caspar out and a Starfire, so that's nice. It's just a good extension card, really. You could cut it for the second talent if you'd prefer draw power, though. Trap-wise, 3 Desperado, target face-up card on the field, destroy it. If you control a musket monster, really, really good. 2 copies of Last Stand. This is a spell and trap negate, really, really good. Obviously stops your opponent from like red rebooting you, things like that. The 1 copy of Fiendish Deal. This protects your muskets from being destroyed by card effects. And then if it's sent to the grave by an opponent's card effects, you can add any musket card from your deck or your graveyard to your hand, except for itself. But that's, you know, you get protection. It triggers your musket in the same column. It just does all sorts of things. And then finally, the 1 copy of Crooked Crown, which lets you summon a musket from your hand during your opponent's main phase and your own main phase. So it lets you build board presence, and it also locks off, if your opponent's got nothing else in that column, it also locks off the main monster zone for that column. And then the last 3 cards, the other going first card, 3 copies of Solemn Judgment. It stops summons, simplifies game states. If you have to go first in this deck, you really want to simplify that game state and slow them down to your level, because obviously your muskets don't have the highest of attack points. But yeah, that's the main deck. Now onto the extra deck. I don't run Extravagance. I hate Extravagance in this deck. I prefer to have an extra deck that I can use to link climb and use as utility. But either way, you definitely, no matter what draw power you're using, definitely run 3 copies of Magical Musketeer Max. You use this guy so much. He is insane. On summon, you either add musket, spells, and traps from your deck to your hand equal to the number of monsters your opponent controls, or you special summon monsters from your deck that are Magical Musketeers up to the number of spells and traps they control. So going against back row decks, if you open any musket and like a Last Stand, and then they have say a trap interruption for your summon of Max, you chain the Last Stand, and then you summon like 3 or 4 monsters. So that's really, really, really good. Really, really like Max in the deck. The 1 Security Dragon, because you do get this guy co-linked quite a lot, and then you just have a free target monster your opponent controls, return it to the hand. So the spin's really, really nice. And then our other removal is the Nightmare package. We're only playing Cerberus and Phoenix because we do run what I consider to be arguably a better removal option than Unicorn, which I'll show you in just a second. But we're playing Phoenix and Cerberus just as some extra board clearance, and also the protection they offer. when co-linked is also nice. Like I said, you do quite a bit of co-linking in this deck. You can run Masquerena and Unicorn, and I will show you what I would personally cut if I was going to run that, but I don't see much of a need for it, considering that going first, you tend to just set up 2 or 3 muskets rather than making crazy IP Masquerena Appaloosa plays. This is better than Unicorn, fight me. And then gears to the World Chalice Warrior. Both players send 1 card. You can only summon it using Link Monsters. It's 2+ Link Monsters. It does some stuff regarding World Chalice, but the thing you're using it for is you send 1 card on both players' sides of the field to the graveyard. Doesn't target, doesn't destroy, doesn't pop, doesn't spin. Send to grave. It's kind of like Negalogia, but a bit slower, a bit older. But I love this card. It's saved me so many times. Really, really enjoy the fact that it doesn't target. Outs things like Dragoon as well, which is really, really good. The one is Bana, because you can make it, it clears boards, and banishing spells and traps is nice when you don't have to set any of your own, with the exception of Judgment. And then we're playing the 1 Boral Load and the 1 Boral Sword. These are just your big link 4s. Like I said, if you're going second, you're going to like clear the board. You're not really setting up negates with Appaloosa and things. And I'm too poor for an access code. I bought Talents instead. And for our Exceeds, Utopia double, obviously for OTK. Same with the Boral Sword, actually. You can, in some situations, literally make a Boral Sword that is pointing to your Utopia doubled Utopia. So you're hitting them for 10k, and if by some fluke they survive that, you're also hitting them with a double attacking Boral Sword, which is really, really nice. Baguska, because if it comes down to it, sometimes you just make Baguska on your turn and then pray that that works. It's not the best, but it can save you quite a fair bit. Tornado Dragon for spell and trap removal. And finally, I like to play the 1 Exciton Knight just for the board clearance, and the fact that it's pretty easy to make with the fact that you run Parallel Exceed and things like that. You could run Trap Trickster Rafflesia with Gravedigger's Trap Hole. I've not been able to acquire a Gravedigger's Trap Hole, but that would be something that I would definitely test. So if you're looking at building this deck, give that a test and let me know in the comments whether it works out or not, because that's definitely a card that I could see working very, very well in the deck. But yeah, that's about it for this list. It's quite a simple one. The deck's quite straightforward in how it plays. It's very reactionary compared to some of the more combo decks. You kind of simplify the game state and then out-resource your opponent with just how crazy these guys are at getting access to those spells and traps. But as always, guys, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Try to be a bit quicker with this video. Yeah, cheers for watching. Like, comment if you feel like it, and subscribe if you want to see more garbage, shaky camera quality content.